name is Beck and welcome to the end of year book tag. Now that it's getting into November, I thought, why not do this tag? Because we are slowly but surely reaching the end of 2020 and it's a little bit intimidating because I feel like I blinked and this year disappeared, which sounds like a cliche thing to say, but the days seem like they're stretching out really long, but the dates seem to just be flying by, which is insanity. So this is a book tag that has like 6 questions, so let's get into question 1. And that is, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? Not really. I'm usually pretty good at either completely DNFing a book or planning when to read it if I only partially decide to put it down. And I also am pretty consistent at reading series as well. I've made sure to hold myself quite accountable. So I don't have a lot of stuff on my list that I really need to finish like that. The only things I can really think of is the Dresden Files, because I've been reading that series with Dave and listening to the audiobooks as each of us finished them. But I'm not really in a rush to finish that by the end of 2020. I'm just enjoying the journey, I guess, and I'm doing reviews for each book as I go. So I'm trying not to rush my way through the series because I don't want to rush my way through it and then be caught up and then have nothing else to continue with. So I'm enjoying savoring those. And then I don't really have any longer fantasy series that I'm reading except The Wheel of Time, but I've already made plans to start reading that and vlogging that at some point soon. So no, I don't really have anything that I need to absolutely finish this year that I've already started, except series that I have ongoing and I've already made plans to make sure that I don't let those kind of hang over and my memory fade about what the series is actually about. So I'm good. Question 2 is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? And given that I'm in Australia and it's spring, no, but I also don't really read entirely seasonally. I basically read fantasy books all year round, and I like to associate fantasy books with being cozy, which is naturally an autumnal thing. So I guess fantasy is autumnal, but I read them all year round. I guess I just want all year to be autumn because it's my favorite season. Also, in Australia, it's in May, and that is my birthday month. So a win-win all around. But I'm getting away from the point here. I don't have an autumnal book, really. I just have a bunch of books that are on a list that I want to read that are still on my owned TBR that I've had a while, and I'm just making sure I track that. Actually, I do have a fantasy book that has quite an autumnal looking cover, and it's called A Skinful of Shadows, and I don't actually really know enough about it to describe what it is. I just know that it's a fantasy. I don't think it's adult. I think it's YA, or maybe it's in between YA and adult, kind of like bridging that gap. I'm not quite sure, but I picked it up because the cover is pretty, and also you can't tell on the image I've put in, I don't think, but on my physical copy it's got foiling and it's very shiny. So I'm hoping to read that before the year ends, and also A River of Royal Blood, which is another fantasy book, and I believe that is definitely YA. So I've got 2 fantasy books at least to read this year, so I guess they count as autumnal. Question number 3 is there a new release you're still waiting for? And you bet I am still waiting for Rhythm of War. Who isn't excited about that, honestly? I have been waiting for that for a long time, and I've reread the other books in the series. I think they're actually behind me. I've reread those. I've done spoiler-free reviews for the whole lot. I've done a spoiler talk with my partner. We are waiting really impatiently for Rhythm of War, and that comes out the 17th of November. So it might actually be out by the time I'm posting this, but I'm not entirely sure what my video schedule looks like in comparison to its release date. But only really Rhythm of War this year, and then next year I've got The Mask Falling in January, I've got the next Wayward Children book in January, I've got the next Wayfarers book by Becky Chambers in, I think, February. So there are a couple of new releases that I'm anticipating for 2021, but as for the end of 2020, I don't think anything is necessarily coming out apart from Rhythm of War that I'm interested in. So big excitement for Rhythm of War, I can't wait. Question number 4 is, what are 3 books that you want to read by the end of the year? I have a list of at least 10, so no pressure, but I think I can get through like 10 books in 2 months. So I've already talked about at least 2 on that list. So A Skinful of Shadows and A River of Royal Blood are the 2 that I specifically remember. There is also S, or Ship of Theseus, and I think that's written by J.J. Abrams. It's designed to look like a library book, and it's got a story in it, and then it's also got annotations in it that is like a love story in the margins. So it's a story within a story, which is a cool concept, but I know it's just going to take a lot of concentration to read. And with a pandemic, I found that I have the attention span of a gnat. I'm like flitting between my apps. I'm reading maybe a paragraph of my book. I'm looking at a video to edit. I'm kind of all over the place, and I'm sure that's a mood that a lot of people can relate to. So reading a book like S is going to be a bit difficult for me, but that's definitely one of them. I would like to read Jade City by Fonda Lee, but I don't actually have that. I haven't got it as an audiobook yet, but it's like a prospective audiobook. I've been eyeing it off and I want to read that because everyone's getting into it lately and I hope that I can like it too. And then another one would be The Passage by Justin Cronin, and I've actually made plans to read this in October. So I'm filming this at the end of October. So by the time this video goes up, I hope that I will have at least started it because I've got the physical book and I've got the audiobook. So really the only thing holding me back is me, because I have the capacity to read it audio or physically. So we'll see how that goes, but it's 900 pages. And if I read all of the Stormlight archive in like no time at all, I think I read Oathbringer, which is over 1,000 pages long, in like 3 days. I can read The Passage, which is shorter, in that amount of time too. So hopefully I can get to The Passage, but it's just daunting because it's a series that I haven't started, and I know that the start of it is supposed to be like an apocalyptic scenario and it doesn't quite start that way, which makes me hesitant to begin. But I'm thinking I'll like it, so fingers crossed that I do. Question number 5 is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favourite of 2020? I don't think so. Except obviously Rhythm of War, but that wouldn't be a shock. So no, I don't think so. I think I could really enjoy some books at the end of the year, but I don't think they could become like new favorites. I'm expecting all of the 10 that I currently own. I've made a separate video, so when it's live, I'll link it for convenience. But I think those books that I've had on my TBR for a while, those 10, those are like 4 stars maximum, I reckon, for enjoyment factor. I don't anticipate any of them being a 5, and I've already read some awesome books this year, so unless I listen to some more Dresden books, because I'm pretty much consistently giving them a 4 or 5 stars in ratings as I read, I think those are my only kind of options, and they're not really surprises. Dresden I've been loving, and I know I love Rhythm of War, so no, I don't think there's anything else that can really surprise me. And then the final question on this list is, have you already started making plans for 2021 in terms of reading? Yes, I have. I already have a plan of what books I want to reread, books I own that I want to read that I have gotten a haul recently, so I'm tracking them so I don't forget about them. I also have vlogs that I want to do, and I have series that I want to start, so I am quite on the ball and I'm very excited because I think 2020 suffered obviously from a bit of a reading slump given what's going on in the world, and I'm only just starting to get back my reading mojo after August, so I am quite excited to jump feet first into some things that I'm excited about reading. And I've also really wanted to read Robin Hobb because I read all of her books ages ago, but I'm really foggy on the details. I barely remember anything. And if you're someone like me, if you tell me a spoiler, I will remember it for years. And so the fact that I have started to fade with Robin Hobb means that I've read her quite a long time ago. I think it was more than 10 years. So it is now time for me to reread that series and rediscover how much I love these characters, because I remember the fact that I will bleed for all of them, but I don't remember necessarily why. So I'm excited to have my heart torn out by her books again, and that is what 2021 has in store for me, at least one of the many things that it has in store for me. So I'm quite excited. If you have any reading plans for 2021, please let me know, because I love planning stuff, and even though I read for my mood, I also read to a TBR and leave kind of wiggle room around that. So I have structure and I have freedom. It's like the best of both worlds. Are you someone who does that like me, or do you just kind of make lists and stick really tight to them or not? I'd love to know, but I'll chat to you down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will catch you in my next one. Bye.